So good afternoon, everyone. This is Audrey Russo, President and CEO of the Pittsburgh Technology Council, and I'm thrilled to be here as I am each and every day since the onset of COVID over 15 months ago. And today is no different. A great guest. I'm very excited to jump in with Craig Rippole, and I'm going to formally introduce him in a moment. So let's just get some housekeeping out of the way and extend some appreciation for those who have helped us along the way. First of all, Jonathan Kirsting is with us each and every day. He's Vice President of all things marketing and media for the Tech Council, and he's going to keep his eyes on the chat and make sure that if there are questions that we want to lob over to Craig, we do that. The other thing is, thanks to Huntington Bank for them believing in us and every experiment that we run in terms of telling stories, in reaching out to the community, and in just making sure that we are tethered and building the future for tomorrow. And Huntington Bank has been a tremendous partner with us each and every day since the onset, as well as doing other things with us. So if you don't know them, get to know them. They are a terrific partner. And then 40 by 80, that's the longitude and latitude of Pittsburgh, and it is the wholly owned subsidiary of the Tech Council, and that is our charitable arm, and that's where we do a lot of work in terms of education, entrepreneurship, as well as soon to be an apprenticeship program. So we're really excited about that. So stay tuned. It's a site. You can go to 40 by 80 and you'll find it.org. So I said we've muted your microphones. If I didn't say that, I'm saying it now. We've muted your microphones so that we can be considerate of our guest. And also, this is not an opportunity to sell your wares. This is just an opportunity for us to just get immersed in our guests. That's it. Our guest is Craig Rippole. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Craig. I know that we got on pretty quickly. And you are the president of the Trinity Group, right? And you're going to talk about that. First of all, what I like to do is not only just say, hey, welcome, but I want to know who is Craig and how has Craig been doing? And, you know, what's Craig's ties to Pittsburgh? So welcome and thank you for taking the time with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry about that. We had some technological issues today, hard to believe. Yeah. So we're talking with the right group. But thank you, Audrey. Appreciate you having me. My name's, as you said, my name's Craig Rippole. I'm the president of Trinity Commercial Development. Trinity's been developing and redeveloping properties in Western Pennsylvania for the last 25 years. We've developed over 1.5 million square feet of space, and we've enjoyed preferred developer relationships with a number of national retailers. And while we're a full service commercial real estate firm, our roots run deep in the construction industry. My grandfather and his brothers, the Rippole brothers, we changed our last name, started back in 1954 doing commercial work. They had been doing more residential work back then. They actually built Uanza Village, which is an Allegheny County Housing Authority community in McKees Rocks. And so, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about the methods that they used then and some of those that are still being deployed now, and talk about the contrast or the lack of evolution in the construction.
That's great.
So we're more recently known for our revitalization efforts in McKees Rocks, and specifically redeveloping the 105 acre former P&LE railroad repair and maintenance facility there. And while it may be a bit uncommon for a retail developer to be focused on a brownfield, we were able to kind of leverage our unique perspective to generate synergies, much like you'd see in a commercial shopping district where all boats kind of rise, to help to bring private investment into an underinvested community, to develop strategic partnerships with private corporations, to form public-private partnerships to bridge the gap on financing, and ultimately generate benefits for the good of all. And for the good of all, I specifically mean the municipality. As a result of our redevelopment activities, they were able to broaden the tax base and improve their S&P credit rating from BBB to A stable. Wow. So, which is great for a community like McKees Rocks, which I'm from.
So you took the business over from your family, from the brothers?
It evolved. We're not general contractors at this point. It was my grandfather, but that started it. But I'm proud to say that I got to work with the family in the summers as a laborer. Again, using some of the same techniques and tools that my father before him and my grandfather used. And I wish the slides were working because I'd show you a great picture of everybody up on the scaffolding, but we could do that another day.
Okay.
But what's kind of been interesting about the experience of the brownfield is, because it ties back to Michael Keaton, was specifically that when you redevelop a brownfield, you can expect to run into contaminated soils just by the nature. That's what you're going to run into, and to take those offsite to a landfill, a special landfill. You can expect to clear to generate a lot of debris and put a lot of that debris into dumpsters, which would go to a landfill. When you clear and grub a 105-acre site that's been vacant and blighted for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And you can expect that, when you have these antiquated, dilapidated buildings on a 105-acre industrial complex, that you're going to demo those masonry buildings and their concrete footers and foundations. You're going to try to recycle what you can and leave on site as fill, but then you're going to put those in dumpsters and take those off to a landfill. What I didn't realize is the amount of construction debris that was going into our landfills. I also didn't realize the amount of carbon emissions that were being generated by building and construction. And when I learned that, thanks to Nexi, I realized that I want to build better and I want to be part of the solution. And that's when I discovered that Nexi was that solution. And the way that we were going to deliver that solution to the market was through this partnership called Trinity Sustainable Solutions, which would be a partnership with Michael Keaton, Nexi, Trinity Commercial Development, and then the Pittsburgh region. And they're a key piece to all this, because when you see what such a large percentage of global emissions come from building and construction industry, you realize that it's going to take a lot of partners to move the needle on emissions. So it was important to work with the PRA, and we had a prior relationship with them, and we started with them about 9 months ago, and they've been involved every step of the way, including last Monday when Michael was in town. Right. We were looking at sites. So that's kind of the whole evolution and of how we got to where we are now.
So that's great. So did you have a relationship with Michael on this whole idea? Because I know he's into sustainability and he's pretty passionate about climate change and emissions. So
yeah, interesting. So I did not have a direct relationship with him. I was aware that he was a Pittsburgher and he was passionate about Pittsburgh. I knew that he was a self-proclaimed unabashed environmentalist. Right. Cared about the environment. I knew he wanted to create jobs in the city, and that he had come back a lot, was a great representative of our town. And I also knew that his mother grew up a stone's throw from that brownfield in McKees Rocks that we were talking about. And that ultimately became my kind of aha moment about, wow, this is the impact that building and constructions are having on global emissions and in the environment. And I felt like, because his mother grew up there and he had been there, he could remember the brownfield back in its heyday, when it was the epicenter of McKees Rocks, and everybody worked there and everybody walked to work and everybody shopped there. The old mill town, just like a lot of towns that pepper along the Ohio River and up the Mon. And so we got in contact with him through a mutual friend in Los Angeles. And he came to town. We discussed the site. He remembered it vividly, and it worked. He understood that, he got to learn a little bit more about the impact it was having, and he wanted to be part of the solution. So he's been a absolute great partner. He's really leaned in. He's toured sites. He's been back twice. He's now filming in London, but he's going to be an active participant in this. And it's important because, with my background, I know, and most people know this, like anybody involved in technology, change is hard. We've used the same construction methods for a lot of years, and the technology hasn't evolved in construction like it has other places. So that unique platform that he has to help facilitate change management is very important. And just to show you how it works, my 74-year-old mother in Stowe Township called me after seeing some of the media, and she wanted to know about her carbon footprint. So the fact that she's asking me those questions, it's telling me that Michael's driving it down to
Yeah,
the
that's
working
great.
man and the working woman in Pittsburgh. And quite frankly, I learned a lot in the process, and I'm in the business. So I'm sure a lot of people are realizing if you want to move the needle on carbon emissions, you got to start with building in construction industry.
Well, so people probably don't even understand, I mean, how much concrete and cement is an exciting topic, right? But I mean, I think it is. There's, can we take some time to talk about concrete and what it really takes to, and why that's such a challenge? I mean, to our long-term and short-term efforts. I mean, how much energy, what's the impact? Bill Gates, even his newest book, How to Prevent a Climate Disaster, he talks about accounting for about 6% of the world's annual carbon emissions is also one of the hardest areas to offset. So I'd like to hear from you, because I guess that's been your bread and butter in terms of your knowledge.
Yeah, I got to be honest, I'm learning. I didn't realize the impact that construction and buildings were having on the industry, and until about 9 months ago. I saw the waste clearly from being a developer, especially in Western Pennsylvania, where most of it's redevelopment. When you get out into the suburbs, and maybe there's some green fields that are a little bit different, but I clearly saw the waste. But I will tell you that 39% of the world's carbon emissions come from buildings in construction. So that's a huge area. I can also tell you that I think you said Bill Gates referenced 6%. Our understanding and our research has pointed to it being closer to 8%.
Okay.
Global CO2 coming from concrete and cement. So, obviously, if you want to make a move to get a big change in the climate, you have to focus in that very high impact area. So that's one area, but also along those lines of sustainability, the waste. I mean, 33 to 50% of the solid waste going to a landfill comes from construction. And even if you, like we did on the brownfield, we recycled a lot of the footers and foundations. We recycled the concrete, used it as fill on the site to raise it out of the floodplain. Even with that gets down to about 25% of the landfills are with construction debris. So the crazy thing about that too is that 90% of it is from, demolition. The other 10% is from new construction, which almost kind of blows your mind that new materials are going into it. So we could come back and talk about how Nexi provides that solution.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I was going to jump into that and talk about Nexi. And I love the logo behind you. I can see it. I like the way you placed it. So yeah, that's where I want to go. I want to go into Nexi and talk about the solutions therein.
Yeah, I'll just to close that loop, just to go back about the cement. So, really it's the Portland type cement that serves as the binder that's the challenge because of the burning of the limestone. So that's a lot. And there's a lot of good solutions, a lot of work being done on concrete to try to improve it. And we're talking about a solution specifically for vertical construction, replacing conventional construction. And it really lends itself to precast concrete, cast in place concrete, tilt up concrete, because concrete is such a large contributor to global emissions.
Okay. All right. So now you have Nexi.
Nexi, yeah. So enter Nexi.
Yeah. Now enter Nexi.
So how I got introduced to them was, obviously being a developer and in the business, trying to stay up on trends and recognizing the trend that where sustainability was going. When we first started to do our due diligence about this time last year, it was almost too good to be true. I mean, they had performed about 200. They had a whole a library of tests that had been performed on the product. And we did our due diligence, and we were very impressed with the material itself. And again, it's a material. It's a recipe of 15 different ingredients, 50% of which of the overall mix is sand, and that forms a product called Nexii, which is when put into compared to concrete, it's 1/6 the weight of concrete. So that lack of, but it is as strong as concrete, and it's better yet, it cures much faster than concrete does, which allows you to build sooner. So there's when you're talking about Nexi, there's the material itself, which is environmentally friendly. It's 99% free of all red list items, environmentally harmful items. It also is a solution that a building system that's different from conventional construction, which reduces waste. And to use an example of the Starbucks, which we'll show a video, and you can drive by any renovation in any residential house and you'll see a 40-yard construction dumpster in the yard. And when you look at Nexi, they built a Starbucks and they had one trash bag of waste and most of it were coffee cups. And that's the difference you get from precision manufacturing sustainable panels in a factory. When they come to the site, they're being assembled. And so there's very little to no waste. And the other piece of that goes along with that is the speed to build. It typically would take about 120 days to build a Starbucks. It took 6 days to build the Starbucks, the greener Starbucks, because you're manufacturing the panels, again, precision manufacturing these panels in a plant, and you're doing it concurrently with the site work. So while the site work's being done, you're manufacturing the panels. So by the time you get on site, you're literally assembling them, bolting them together with a 3/4 inch socket set, create an airtight vacuum, and you're off and running. So there's the benefits of, we know right now that there's a skilled labor shortage, unfortunately, out there. And construction is booming, thanks to a lot in part to the interest rates and a lot of the activity, a lot of the incentives at the federal level. So, we don't want to miss out on those opportunities to help, recover in this economy, because we don't have the labor, which this solves that business problem, the skilled labor enough to do it. Plus, lumber prices are up 60%. So, having an alternative to the conventional construction like the Nexi panels, that in itself provides an alternative and will also help to keep prices in check. And lastly, I think just from a practical standpoint, if you're talking about a retailer being able to open 4 months sooner, you obviously can start generating revenues at that point. So it really checks a lot of boxes from just a sustainability standpoint, from a business problem standpoint. And what I like about it, our bread and butter being developers, is thinking about how it gives corporations the ability to drive down their sustainability goals down to the bricks and the mortars, where ultimately it's the area that can make the most impact. So since that's where 39% of the world's carbon emissions are coming from. So I think it's really appealing for a lot of reasons. And like I said, I want to be part of that solution, and Nexi's that solution.
So do you want to show us something? Is there a video that you wanted to show us in terms of transformation of a Starbucks? Yeah,
this is the Starbucks greener store in Canada. And again, this is 6 days. You'll see it was materials coming in flat packed, like you'd see coming from IKEA, to reduce the volume. But I'll let you run the video if
okay, we can start it then, Taylor. Wow. That's pretty crazy, right?
Pretty
And so
impressive.
tell us what, that's very impressive. So tell us what is in actually each of these walls or each of these pieces?
Yeah, that's an interesting. So it's a whole system. In conventional construction, you're going to do the framing, insulation, vapor barrier, wall sheathing on the outsides, maybe some kind of finish like a hardy finish or brick, and then drywall on the inside. What Nexi is that entire panel is, and they, again, precision manufactured in a plant, brought on site, tilted up, and then connected at the top. So there's corner blocks at the top that where the connection occurs, and that creates an airtight seal. So that panel itself, the standard 10-inch panel, is going to be an R36 value of insulation. So it's highly insulated, but it's that seal that's created also that allows for the mechanical systems to regulate the air. So you get a better quality air, as well as it's managed by the HVAC system. So it can serve as a floor, it can serve as the roof, and it also serves as the panel. So it's an entire system. So there's the Nexi material, and I have a little cutout. This might help to show you if you can see it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this would be the cutout of a section of wall. It's only 4 inches, but this would be the exterior. The interior, depending on if it's a high performance panel, which would get attached to steel, it would be similar to this with the EPS, which is the insulation type 2, and then the interior Nexii panel, which would replace the drywall. So again, you can finish it with, there's 200 different finishes. They get molded and colored. Here's another type of finish that you can see too that has more of a wood grain look.
Right.
But again, so it's the whole system. If it were going to be a structural panel, you would have steel reinforcement inside, and that would allow you to go up to 4 stories. So again, there are 2 different, it's a system, it's a material. And again, it reduces that Starbucks video that said 30% reduction in carbon emissions, and doing the life cycle study, it's closer to 43%, with 20% of that being from the embodied carbons, and a majority coming from the operating carbons, which deal primarily with the heating and cooling of the building. So there's this long-term savings on energy usage as well.
So Jonathan, there's a couple of questions out there that we want to grab. One, I was going to ask you just about residential, but let Jonathan grab some of them.
Love to. Great to have you on the show today, Craig. Love the conversation going on here. So Amanda Yarger wants to know, has Nexi partnered with local Pittsburgh company Module? That seems like a really cool question. I'm pretty sure you're aware of what they're up to.
No, but I've heard the name a couple times now and what they're doing. I'd love to chat with them. Like I said, it's a big umbrella and there's a lot of good work to do. And I think when you find out the industry is huge, this opportunity, especially with the retrofit. So, but we want to partner with as many people that make sense to help kind of move the needle. And just so you know, Nexi's folks are continuing to partner to try to make smarter buildings. And just so you know that, like, for example, I can't tell the names, but to try to integrate mechanical systems, things like integrating conduit and ductwork directly into those panels, so it's even easier to connect all those things. But the CEO had mentioned that we went through the industrial revolution, the technology revolution that continues to be ongoing, and now we're going through this building revolution. And if you think about it, going back to the methods we use for construction, he compared it to a Tesla. There's more technology in a Tesla than there is in $1 million home. And you start to wonder, why is that? And so we do see that there's a lot of different individual initiatives that can be integrated into the system to work together. But there are different verticals, and residential is one vertical that we're exploring, because the product is very fire resistant, natural disaster resistant, water resistant, and mold resistant. There's no biodegradable materials, so it's free of insects. It can be, aired out and dried. So it fits very well in areas where there are floods, hurricanes, fires, and really appeals well to affordable housing as well because of its resilience.
Excellent. So you answered a bunch of questions with your response there. So you're very
Sorry.
efficient, like your building
Okay.
products. I like that. So what are some of the major challenges you foresee for companies such as Nexi to continue bringing sustainable construction to the marketplace? Is it labor shortages, regulatory hurdles?
Well, I think what's interesting is well, obviously the pandemic's making it difficult working with a Canadian company to bring the technology here, but we're working through it. Hazleton, Pennsylvania is leading the way with the first plant. And, we're so blessed in Pennsylvania to have the kind of sustainable leadership, especially even in our region. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Pittsburgh is a leader in innovation. It's a leader in sustainability, thought leader. It's got that manufacturing heritage. So we're blessed with that. But I do think change management is a big issue, and just getting people to do something differently. I mean, people are busy. It's a profitable industry. So we're looking really for those early adopters to come on to do a proof of concept. And we see the kind of thought leaders with the 35 colleges and universities and some of the foundations and not-for-profits and some of the corporations too, being kind of first to market on this initiative.
Excellent. And we have one last question here from Dan Griffith wants to know, is this usable for road and or parking structure construction?
Yeah, I mean, it depend on, like I said, it can be structural, and we continue to work with R&D to kind of allow buildings to be built more than 4 stories right now, and that's the structural panel. But clearly, if you're using it as a high performance envelope, the support's going to be coming from the steel, so it can be attached to that, and that could go as high as you can. But it seems to be gaining traction and with sound stages because of its soundproofness.
Nice.
And it would seem to be applicable on highways for visual barriers as well as sound barriers along the highways. So we see a potential application with that as well.
So I was going to say, what's next? That was going to be a pun.
I get it. What's next with Nexi? Yeah.
So here, how can we stay connected to you in this work? There's so many people that have innovations, care about the issues that you've articulated, have lots of ideas, lots of innovation is going on here. How can we at the tech community stay connected?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing we have to get out there is that it's cost competitive. So it's going to be right in line with conventional construction. And I think you're going to see it being pulled in the market, because if you look right now at precast concrete, there's a 9 to 12 month lead time on that, because a lot of the big players in the market are absorbing all of that. So I think it's going to be out of necessity. But I think in general, the first thing that we could do is create an awareness of how conventional construction is impacting the environment. And then once you understand that, you can start to find these solutions like Nexi to do that. But I would continue to, we're on a development cycle of between 12 and 18 months to be up and running. We want to build the greenest manufacturing plant in North America. We're going to build it with the Nexi system, the panels coming out of Hazleton.
Okay.
And we are looking for partners. Like I said, we had a great conversation with the mayor, the county executive, Dennis Davin with DCED, the foundation community about Hazelwood Green being a potential site. And again, we're still evaluating options, and even Carnegie Mellon. And I think what happened from having the CEO of the company here and him really understanding the Pittsburgh value proposition, which is about collaboration, innovation, and cooperation. He has now said what went from 100,000 square foot plant to maybe 150 to 250,000 square foot plant, and it being a center of excellence, focusing on the retrofit market since it's so large, but also being a manufacturing center of excellence for all of Nexi's plants, and working in partnership with Carnegie Mellon University and the robotics and advanced manufacturing to integrate these continuous process improvements into the overall production process.
So Craig, what we'd love to do, first of all, we've taken a half hour out of your day. I can't extend my appreciation enough for the time and for your work and your leadership and commitment back to your own roots, which is, quite noteworthy. What we would love is if there's a chance that maybe you could connect with and meet some of the people who are working on some of these innovations, because they are, they're percolated all throughout the ecosystem. And I know people are excited by this, and any way that we can make sure that we're additive to your work, people will want to do. So
I love the cooperation. I'd also like to come back and do a deeper dive that gets more technical
yeah,
for some of these questions that really show you how the system comes together.
yeah, people want that. I'm getting some notes on that.
And you know what? We got the bat phone with Michael, and you can call Trinity Sustainable Solutions, or
Okay.
email us or check us out. And we'd love to do a follow-up call to talk more
That'd be great.
about it.
That'd be great. Well, thank you, Craig. Thanks for taking the time with us. Thanks, everyone. Today's Wednesday. I have to say that out loud, Craig.
Yeah.
That reminds me, what day today is.
That's okay.
It's not like Blur's Day. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for your leadership on this work. Really appreciate it. What's up, Jonathan?
Well,
Anything?
tomorrow is Thursday, which is going to be very
Thursday.
exciting. It's my
Tomorrow's
favorite day of the week.
Thursday.
Absolutely. We have PA Representative Wendy Thomas stopping by. She's going to be detailing the investor startup tax credit tomorrow. So trying to shake more trees to get more money into startups' hands. So let's see what happens.
That's good. See, Craig, that's what we work on, all different things, so that we're making sure that this is an amazing place for tech and innovation to build and grow their business.
Well, it's working because that's what Nexi realized when they came here. So
Yeah,
good
yeah.
work.
So it's great. We'll stay connected to you. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.